Odprto. Pogovori o prostoru, arhitekturi in oblikovanju.
V tokratnem podkastu govorimo o prvi slovenski certificirani Active House stanovanjski stavbi. Pogovarjali se bomo z Lone Feifer, arhitektko in generalno sekretarko Svetovnega združenja Active House. Za komentar bomo vprašali še slovenskega arhitekta in strokovnjaka za trajnostne certifikacijske sisteme Jerneja Markelja. Odprte hiše Slovenije so ob odprtju hiše Primus R organizirale prvo OHS predpremiero, kjer so si vse prednosti aktivne arhitekture obiskovalci lahko ogledali v živo. Podnebna kriza je predvsem posledica prekomerne porabe energije in prekomernih izpustov, ki nastanejo pri njeni proizvodnji. Pri tem igra veliko vlogo tudi grajeno okolje, saj stavbe za svoje delovanje porabijo kar 40% celotne proizvedene energije. Ta podatek je strašljiv in hkrati optimističen, saj pomeni, da imata gradnja novih energetsko učinkovitih stavb in energetska sanacija obstoječih stavb ogromen potencial za zmanjšanje škodljivih izpustov in zmanjšanje porabe energije. Tega potenciala se zaveda tudi združenje Active House, ki pa na stavbe ne gleda le iz energetskega vidika. Koncept Active House se zavzema za bolj zdrave bivalne prostore z manjšimi posledicami za okolje. Na prvo mesto postavlja človeka, njegovo ugodje in dobro počutje. Pri tem se osredotoča na 3 osnovne temelje: ugodje, energijo in okolje. Prve ideje o aktivnih hišah so nastale leta 2007. Leta 2011 je bila ustanovljena neprofitna organizacija Active House Alliance, ki tudi podeljuje certifikate Active House. Od takrat naprej je bilo zgrajenih že več kot 100 aktivnih hiš. Takšna hiša stoji tudi v Dragomlju pri Domžalah. Gre za prvo družinsko hišo v Sloveniji s certifikatom Active House, ki jo je zgradilo podjetje Lumar. Hišo smo si ogledali in jo doživeli na OHS predpremieri. Sledi pogovor z Lone Feifer. Lone Feifer je aktivna zagovornica in mentorica na področju trajnostnosti, oblikovanja in inovacij. Je članica upravnega odbora Danske kraljeve akademije za arhitekturo ter članica upravnega odbora Danskega združenja arhitektov. Lone Feifer ima magisterij iz arhitekture na Kraljevi akademiji v Kopenhagnu in podiplomski magisterij energetike in zelene arhitekture na šoli za arhitekturo Aarhus in na univerzi Tsinghua.
Hello, Lone. Thank you for being with us. How are you today?
Thank you for the invitation. I feel great to be in Slovenia and see how this new buildings and new architecture is coming along, and I'm very happy to be speaking to you about it.
We'll be talking about active houses and active house principles. The family house that you visited today is the first building in Slovenia with an active house certificate. Tell us, please, what are the main active house principles?
The 3 principles of active house are energy, environment, and comfort. In each of the principles are 3 indicators. So in comfort it is daylight, it is thermal comfort, and it's air quality. In energy it is energy demand, energy sourcing, and energy performance. In environment you have sustainable construction, environmental loads, and water usage. You can go deeper into each of these parameters and investigate more. For instance, in the thermal comfort indicator, you can go down and investigate the winter comfort levels, the summer comfort levels. And the same goes for the air quality, where you can go in and see and investigate how is the air quality performing and designed for performance in summer and in winter and shoulder seasons. So there's a lot of depth to the different indicators, but if you want to just at a glance see the performance of a house, it's easy to have a look at a radar picture where you can see all 9 indicators and there is a number for each performance. So this house that we are in today, the Lumar house, it has a radar for how is the performance of the house designed. I have to say that it's a very good radar. It is really impressing, and now I have seen the house and I can see that the quality is extremely good. And the hallmark of active house is that you go back and measure how is the house performing when somebody's living in it. And I think this house would be very close to the design performance and parameters because it is really built in a high quality. This is not always the case, but the general of the radar is that you are able to, if you as a designer would like to have a dialogue with your client about his or her or theirs wishes for the house, how do you talk to them about it? You can discuss, yes, we would like to have a lot of daylight. And you as an architect would say, I can make your house with a lot of daylight. But putting a number on it and saying, like in this house, you get a level 1, there is nothing better, according also to international standards. Then you know what it is and you are able to say, this is important for you, this is less important. Where do you want to place your money or your focus?
Actually, you don't necessarily need an active house certificate. You can simply follow the guidelines and still achieve a better living environment. Is that correct?
Exactly. It is not obligatory to do an active house that you have the label. The label is in fact just the verification that the calculations that have been made for the house are correct. So it's a third-party verification. But if this is not important to you, what is important to you is you would like to use the guidelines, use the tool, test your assumptions. Maybe sometimes if you are a designer, you have some different choices and you say, what if I do this? What happens to the energy performance? What if I do that? You have some different design options and scenarios. And the radar tool is very good for this because you are able to say, put up some different scenarios next to each other, and then you have the opportunity to do informed design decisions, which is very important not only for clients, but in particular for architects.
Of course, but why should architects design and build houses according to active house principles? What are the benefits? I mean, the benefits that are different from other sustainable methods. Because the clients, as well as architects, sometimes have our own ideas about the aspect and performance of the house. What is the most important part of the active house principles?
I think the probably most important factor is that you include a design decision, a design concerns in the concept which are orientated towards the human senses. That is the most important thing in any building. It is also sometimes what is mainly forgotten, because houses can be judged from how they look from the outside, or they can be judged only by the cost, or only by the energy performance, or these three parameters. And that's where the active house comfort dimension is important, because the energy and environment, yes, you have to have it. It's hygiene parameters. You have to have your house in order, right leg, left leg. But the human senses is what matters to you, the daylight, the thermal comfort, the air quality, the acoustics. That is when you are inside the house. And if any of those parameters are not considered into the design, you will fall short. You will, if it's a living house, it will maybe not support you the best way for how your sleep quality is, or how your kids' health is, and how actually your life is lived. So if this matters to you as a designer or as a homeowner, you were asking it as a homeowner, I would always recommend that you remember to take these things into consideration, and you should not accept someone saying, yes, the daylight is fine. Yes, the air quality is fine. Okay, but give me a number, because it is just as important as the taxes and the energy bill and the postal code. And it is possible to calculate it. So I think we need to have a lot more respect around these issues.
Most of Slovenian investors are aware of energy efficiency, especially when they apply for subsidies from the Eco Fund for building almost zero energy houses. What makes active house different from all these energy-orientated principles known as passive house and zero energy, etc.?
I heard about the subsidies in Slovenia and understood a little bit about how they are designed. And I have to say that I'm very impressed. I think you have some very good subsidy systems. which enables you to build houses in a high quality, which I think is really remarkable. So I have to commend this construction in Slovenia, and also the house builder behind the Lumar house is a very good one. The energy efficiency numbers, which are in the regulations and which are stimulated by the regulations, is a must. It has to be there. Obviously, we have to have good measures when we build houses or modernize existing houses. So you have to have that in place. But also I have to say this is something where we are aware since 40 years, maybe 70s, 80s. Back to the oil crisis, we are aware that this is important parameters. And the passive house was conceived during the late 70s when the nuclear protests were very high. So somebody in the protest movement did not want the external energy to be of nuclear. So they developed a concept where they didn't have to have any external energy. So the passive house is an extremely good concept for autonomous houses that don't need energy from externally. And it has developed some very good tools and was done by some very good engineers and also architects. I have a lot of respect for it. At the same time, we have to say that we are able to calculate these houses and design them and construct them. And we must not forget the comfort aspects, the human and the users. And these components have to be in level. And today maybe the users are not so much in focus in the energy efficiency measures, because the houses are not nobody knows how they are performing in real life. There is no connection between the specifications and the regulations and how the houses actually work. So we have to reconnect this, and the active house is trying to do exactly that, to be the next generation after passive house. Respect all the good work, include all the good tools, energy efficiency, and then to have the balance between the comfort parameters.
Can these guidelines be applied in retrofitting and renovations of buildings?
Definitely. We have a concept developed called RenoVactive. And it was developed for social housing project in Brussels. And now, 2 weeks ago, the first RenoVactive house opened in Slovakia. So not too far from here. An existing family house in a very bad condition, where a family would like to renovate, modernize, contemporize their house. And they have used the active house principles to upgrade and make a modern house which is suitable for them, with good comfort and good energy.
One of the biggest critical issues of our time is the climate change. To address this challenge, the Paris Agreement has been adopted almost worldwide, and many countries already have or are working on their climate policies. How are active houses helping to achieve the goals of the Paris Agreement, and how big of an impact could they have on reaching those aims?
The climate crisis is, without a shade of doubt, the biggest challenge that we have to resolve. Buildings play a huge part in our climate footprint. 40, some say 50% is actually consumed by buildings. So we have a big obligation as a profession, in my opinion, to take this up as a challenge. At the same time, you can say there's also a huge potential, that we offer solutions, that we seek suggestions and concepts and designs which are able to contribute to a solution. For the active house, what we try to do is we try to make it less rocket science. We try to make it more straightforward. The radar tool is a tool where a designer, an architect, an engineer can have a discussion with a layperson who could be a big client. I have talked to big investors. They don't know a lot about buildings, they know a lot about costs and stuff and investment, but they also need to understand the importance of a building. And here the radar tool is forming a good bridge. And we always try to keep it very simple and some of the other systems say you are too simple, you are too basic. They are probably right, because if you take out the German system, DGNB, the American LEED, UK BREEAM, they have much more to offer, much more complex. You get a lot more documentation and information. At the same time, I have to point out that they are for-profit systems. The active house is a not-for-profit. Nobody makes money on a system or a classification of an active house. The Alliance is only there to offer the tools and the education, and we don't charge for making active house labels, and we offer it all as open source and for free. We try to contribute to the climate crisis in offering solutions actually to people working professionally, who can then again offer it in their agency. And the architects, I think, have a particular role in offering resolutions to the climate crisis, because the architects have agency. If you are in an office, you have the agency to do something. If you are in a municipality, you have agency to go and make aware and make a translation and communicate. If you are, I work in a corporate, global corporate as an architect, I also have agency to talk to my colleagues and to reach out and to make it more transparent, more understandable, more easy to reach. Because if we want to resolve this climate crisis, we need to go very broad. Today, sustainable buildings can sometimes be something which is a bit exclusive or experimental, or only happening not so often. That is what has been the tendency so far. But to resolve this, I think we need to go mainstream. We need to go in the broader sense. And so we have to have a general perception of how buildings perform, and the critical awareness, the informed design decisions that architects can help taking. And I think there are some important choices that we have to make. If you look towards the youth offers sometimes some very good suggestions. And we in the older generations all need to stay perceptible or susceptible to this. And right now I can see two tendencies. I can see the teenagers in the shopping centers. I can see how the cities are changing, offering the same shops almost everywhere, more and more square meters for shopping, same stuff everywhere. And I'm wondering, what is this for? But I can see that it's a little bit the living room of the teenage generation. That's where they are. They go shopping, they do their thing, they meet, and they go for some very particular brands which are very generic. So this is what they are aiming at. Then we have some other teenagers who are on the streets on the Fridays, striking from schools. Greta Thunberg from Sweden, who's now in the UN this week, speaking to all the decision makers and making herself her voice heard. So the question is, if which direction are we taking? If you look at houses like people tend to look at cars. Cars are very important to people. We know a lot about this car, this brand, this size engine. We are very aware of the USPs. We can say, it's a 3.1, it's a 2.0, and that's important, and it gives us a sense of where people are. So if we look at houses the same way, what is the size, and just looking at it from the outside, I think we will fall short. I think we need to have also the approach where it is how we direct ourselves in the world, how we see the compass, the moral compass. And Greta Thunberg, I don't agree with everything she says, but Greta Thunberg's point is, it starts with yourself. We have the planet to take care of, so that is the foundation we are standing on, but also it's about you and the choices that you do as a person. So start with yourself, and maybe sometimes you need to start from within.
Lone, you come from Denmark. How is this care of humans in the built environment addressed in your country?
Thank you for that question, and it gives me the opportunity to reflect upon my own profession, the architect engagement in Denmark. And I have to say that I think it's very, very positive. Today there is a big conference on indoor climate in schools. The recent years, the last 5 years, I think the development has totally changed from being focused on energy efficiency. That's where we come from the Copenhagen climate meeting in 2009. It was energy and zero carbon and carbon neutral and zero emission only. But then we realized we could do that. And the regulations actually helped us also push in this direction. So I think there was a strong conviction, helped by many actors in the civil society, many good people working in this direction, towards the healthy buildings movement or the direction. And today I think we have a very general awareness that this is what matters, and we are getting more and more tools, and we are trying to influence the levels from the EU. We are working alongside that to try and secure that we have the focus on materials and health and well-being. And making it more and more concrete. We are not there yet, I have to say. We are still on a path. But if you consider that we started working with the energy efficiency in buildings in the 1970s, maybe mid-70s, we have a long way to go. We are starting, but I think it's on a good path. And I think the general global community working on sustainable buildings also has quite a large focus on this in the architects' side. I'm more concerned about the engineers.
By the way, do you live in an active house yourself?
I live in a building an apartment building by the famous Danish architect Arne Jacobsen, which he built in 1953. He designed it in 1948. He built it in 1953. I'm very happy to be there. It's yellow brick, and the layout in my apartment is totally original. And it really fits our purposes perfectly. And we measure the indoor climate, and it is functioning very well. You can take the air through the apartment. You have access to the outside. Very low energy costs. So even if there is no renovation done, it's actually still from 1953 a very good design.
So perhaps they already knew all this back then, and then we sort of forgot about it, and buildings have become very complex with a lot of technology and advanced materials that ensure a high level of comfort and living quality. So in a way we are pushing the technology and innovation further and further to achieve a perfect and constant indoor environment. Do you think that it is really worth it to achieve high indoor well-being? Would it be wiser to make buildings less complex, and that we humans should adapt more to natural environment?
For sure. I follow you 100% on that. I think the connection to nature, that we are in close contact with nature, that we have, a view to the outside, but also the ability to follow all the seasons in the house, we should be sure not to lose that. And we should be careful not to end up living in a synthetic environment inside a building, where the air is controlled all year round. And because of concerns for winter efficiency, you get air conditioning in summer. Because the house is not able to cool itself by night and have natural ventilation. So we should maybe look a little bit back to some of the old tricks and remember them, because you can achieve a lot in the way you design the house. The passive design measures what the house does with no help. It's a little bit like the food pyramid. You have it in Slovenia. You know, you have to eat the healthy stuff at the bottom, and then you can add measures, active elements, smart systems, technology. And then in the end, on the top, you can add some solar energy if you want to. You can put some PV cells on, but that only makes sense if you have done the two lower parts, the first two parts, the right way. So it's really about the design, and that's where the architects are very important, because they offer the design and they are able to have all the aspects encompassed, the old principles of Vitruvius, that you have to stand firm, you have to have the foundation, the planet, the planetary boundaries. We can only use the planet once. The utilitas is the utilities, the energy that we use and how we use it. But if you don't have the third principle, Venustas, the beauty, it will not be loved. A house which is technically perfect may still be derelict after 5 years, because if nobody loves it and nobody cares for it and likes to live in it and use it, it will not stay existing. It's something very basic. And that's the reason why you can see very, very old houses still existing today, because people really like them. They have a lot of qualities. So we need to remember that. We need to remember to also design today those qualities.
Well, architecture is also a cultural discipline, so I believe its power comes not only from technology, but from how it shapes our behavior and our values. Maybe it's time the architect started offering answers and solutions to this crisis, not only posing more questions. Maybe we need a new paradigm for today and for the future. So how do you see a present paradigm which would at the same time address the future?
Do we need a new one? I'm asking. I'm not totally sure. I think sometimes I hear in my daily profession, but also in capacity of I'm on the board of the School of Architecture and Design in Copenhagen, and on the Architects Association. And I do hear from time to time colleagues who are complaining about restrictions and other professions eating in on the architect's domain. And some colleagues feel very restrained and constrained by all these technical measures. And sometimes I tell them, sometimes I only think it, but maybe I can share it here in Slovenia, that I think that take charge. Take charge of your agency, your profession. As an architect, you are trained to solve complex problems, to make sense of a lot of disorder, put it into place, make it into a process, and above all to explain it to people who are outside your profession. Sometimes architects spend a lot of time talking to each other, which is very important, so do I, but we also need to turn around and then to talk to people. What is this? What are we talking about? Where are we going? How can we change this? And it must not be black and white. It has to have different shades.
Lone Feifer, thank you very much.
Hiša Primus R je bila razvita z mislijo na energetsko varčnost, učinkovitost in visoko bivalno ugodje. Zgrajena je na racionalnem tlorisu z odprtim bivalnim prostorom v pritličju, ki združuje kuhinjo in jedilnico z dnevnim prostorom. V nadstropju so zasnovani spalni prostori, ki na dani kvadraturi nudijo maksimalno bivalno ugodje. Hišo odlikujejo čiste linije, sodobnost in kompakten dizajn. S hišo Primus R je bil narejen preboj iz ustaljenih okvirjev montažne gradnje. Hiši so ob vrhunski tehnologiji, funkcionalnosti in prilagodljivosti dodali dizajn, ki sledi visokim standardom sodobne odprte arhitekture. Kot takšna je hiša v Dragomlju prva slovenska stanovanjska stavba, ki je prejela certifikat Active House. Ogleda hiše se je udeležil arhitekt Jernej Markelj. Jernej se je v svoji doktorski dizertaciji ukvarjal z vrednotenjem stavb po načelih trajnostne gradnje. Prosili smo ga za kratek komentar o aktivnih hišah. Jernej, si prvič v aktivni hiši?
V bistvu drugič. Sem bil že v Škofji Loki, v centru Knauf Insulation, ki je tudi že certificirana s tole oznako Active House, tako da je pa to prvi stanovanjski objekt.
Glede na to, da se ukvarjaš z vrednotenjem trajnostnosti stavb, kako bi ti vrednotil princip active housea, tako za stanovanjske kot poslovne stavbe?
Active house je metodologija, ki jo je razvil Velux za ocenjevanje trajnostnosti stavb. Pridružili so se tudi drugi zunanji partnerji in se povezali v mrežo Active House Alliance. Prednost te metodologije je v tem, da jo lahko uporabljajo tudi po drugih državah. Ni omejena na državo, tako kot je pri večini ostalih metodologij, zaradi česar lahko hiše tudi medsebojno primerjamo. Hišo v Sloveniji s hišo na Danskem ali v Španiji in primerjamo njene prednosti in slabosti. Kot največjo prednost vidim pa pri metodologiji Active House to, da so kriteriji zelo jasno postavljeni, jih ni veliko, se pravi, na nek način so izbrali tiste ključne kriterije, ki govorijo o bivalnem ugodju, o čim manjšem obremenjevanju okolja in čim višjem zadovoljstvu uporabnikov. Tako da, če poenostavljeno rečem, Active House omogoča na dokaj enostaven način ovrednotenje kvalitet hiše z vidika bivalnega ugodja in z vidika čim manjšega obremenjevanja okolja.
Stavbe postajajo vedno bolj kompleksnejše tehnološke združbe. Kje vidiš, da ostaja še prostor za arhitekturo? Ker arhitektura poleg tega, da je funkcionalna in da je trdna, naj bi zadovoljila tisto tudi najpomembnejšo kategorijo, in to je, da nas čustveno navdihuje in da nam vzbuja občutek lepega in navdihujočega.
Če bi pogledali kriterije Active House, bi videli, da je velik poudarek na kakovosti za uporabnike, bivalnemu ugodju. Zelo poudarjajo kakovost naravne osvetlitve v prostorih, kar se zelo dobro povezuje tudi z na nek način arhitekturno kvaliteto in izzivi, ki jih imajo arhitekti pri ustvarjanju kvalitetnih stavb in prostorov. Nekoliko je tukaj za arhitekturno svobodo omejujoč razmislek oziroma preveritev vplivov na okolje, ampak ti kriteriji na nek način služijo kot izhodišče, kot smernice za načrtovanje arhitektom.
Poslušali ste podcast Odprto, prvi slovenski podcast o arhitekturi, ki ga je pripravila ekipa OHS. Za akustično ugodje je skrbel studio Sonolab. Odprte hiše Slovenije se zavzemajo za dobro arhitekturo, ki je namenjena vsem ljudem. Prisluhnite nam vsakič, ko boste o prostoru želeli izvedeti več.
Da smo lahko odprto spregovorili o prostoru, nam je svojo podporo omogočilo Ministrstvo za okolje in prostor.